Melissa, your free range psychic. Today is September 26th, 2021, and September is just flying by. It's going to be October at the end of next week, and oh my God, there's Halloween stuff already in the stores, Halloween candy. Oh, it's all too soon. Anyway, putting that aside, I am going to do a past life study today on Melania Trump as a possible reincarnation of Cora Pearl, a famous Parisian courtesan of the 1800s. I'm just going to do like a brief synopsis on Melania Trump's background. I didn't look into it too much. This is really from Wikipedia. She was born April 26, 1970 as Melania Knavs, Knavs, and then for some reason changed it to Naus, Knauss, before she became Melania Trump in, I believe it was, let's look in my notes, I think it's 2005. She was the daughter of a car dealership manager, and her mother was a milliner, or actually a designer of patterns for children's clothes. Melania grew up in like a lower middle class family. She modeled from an early age, first for that company that her mother made those patterns for, and then later on in modeling contests. She aspired always to be a model. She did go to design school, but dropped out a year before she graduated. Oh, she was born in Novo Mesto, Slovenia. She was able to leave Slovenia when she won a modeling contest. She came in third place, not first, for a magazine that offered international modeling contracts. She modeled for a while in Europe, and then she was able to come to the United States and model. Side note, she apparently had 10 modeling jobs, allegedly anyway, before she actually got her green card. She allegedly was introduced to Donald Trump. Epstein said he introduced them. I had read that in several places. In 1998, that's the year she met him. He was still married to his second wife, Marla Maples, when Melania and Donald became an item, and then they were married on January 22nd, 2005. She became the First Lady of the United States, 2016. Beloved for her Be Best campaign. I say that with irony and sarcasm, as you can see, because my God, she's married to the biggest bully in the world, and that campaign, what was that campaign? I don't even know. Especially with her famous or infamous journey to the immigrant detention camp for children who were without family or parents. And she had that "I don't care, do you" written on the back of her jacket, which was just such gaslighting, very Trump adjacent, I think. Also, what about those Christmases? Oh my God, the one with the red trees, and then she had one with the white trees, and they looked like backgrounds for horror movies. I think she should have stuck to Halloween. And then her friend, forgive me the last name, is it Stephanie Wilcott or Wilcox? I don't recall, but she had her on recording saying, "I don't give an F about Christmas." So, and then she destroyed the rose garden. She's always been a hardline birther, a hardline anti-immigrationist, despite the fact that she was able to get her parents here ahead of the line, and she came on an Einstein visa, allegedly being able to speak 6 or 7 languages, which I thought was a little sketchy because she can barely speak English. I've heard her try to speak French and Italian, I think. No, she couldn't speak those languages either. Maybe there were 6 other languages. So that's what I really found out about Melania. Who knows where she is right now? I think she might be in New York. I want to get into Cora Pearl, who's far more interesting, I think. So the information I got on Cora Pearl, I read several articles on her. This one I thought I would draw from. It's by Annabelle Venning for the Mail on Sunday, and that's the Daily Mail, an English newspaper. It was published April 7, 2018. The title is Queen of the Courtesans, Mistress Who Charged Princes and Dukes £1 million a night for her skills as the most famous of Les Grandes Horizontales, was a humble Brit. So I imagine Les Grandes Horizontales, and I know I'm not pronouncing that the way it probably should be pronounced, the great horizontals, which must mean, I think, women who make their living on their backs or lying down. It was, to say at least, an unusual dinner party. For one thing, the guests were all male. The only women present was their hostess, famed for her extravagant hospitality. There were, it was said, no lengths to which she would not go to satisfy her visitors. She did not disappoint. They had tasted the very finest wines, dined on the most sumptuous dishes, prepared by her renowned Parisian chef. But then came the denouement of the evening. Their hostess excused herself to supervise, it was said, the presentation of the final course. The gentlemen waited in eager anticipation. What a delightful dish must she be preparing for them? The dining room doors opened, and in came 4 footmen, bearing aloft a huge covered silver dish. It was laid on the table. The lid was lifted with a flourish to reveal the dessert. Their hostess, naked but for a strategically placed rose. The gentlemen gasped in amazement and did not hesitate to avail themselves of the dish on offer. Now, I think that's a little like over-exaggeration maybe, because there would be a lot of chaos. One woman and all those men. I don't know if that was probably true or not, but the story spread just as she planned, burnishing her reputation for decadence and exhibitionism. She was the empress of extravagance, inventive, outrageous, and sexually insatiable, outdoing every other courtesan in Paris, securing her crown as the most famous of Les Grandes Horizontales, as they were known. Perhaps the greatest surprise of all, however, was that the infamous courtesan was not Parisian, let alone French. She was English, from a decidedly humble background. So, Cora Pearl started out as Emma Crouch. She was born in Plymouth, England. Her father was a musician, and her mother was also a musician. I think she was one of 15 siblings. Then her father left the family to marry another woman without divorcing her mother, and then he actually left both those women to immigrate to the United States. Her mother then took on I don't know if she married or took on a man, maybe married another man who became Emma's stepfather. And I have a sense, it doesn't outright say it, but there was probably maybe some issues, maybe some molestation or something, because Cora was sent off to a nunnery, and then when she came back, she didn't want to live with her family. She wanted to live with her grandmother, and to live with her grandmother meant that she had to take a job as an assistant to a milliner, and they didn't make very much money. Apparently, historically, a lot of those girls became prostitutes. But later on, as Cora Pearl, she writes in her memoirs that she kept her virginity until she was seduced by an older man as she was walking home from work. He seduced her with cakes, the idea of cakes, and she went to his place, and instead of cakes, she was plied with gin. When she woke up, she had lost her virginity, and he gave her a £5 note, which I think is something like $400 equivalent today in American money. And she then, instead of going home, she said she was too ashamed. She set up on her own as a prostitute. Her big break came when she met Robert Bignell, an English purveyor of prostitutes who catered to high-end English society. She got her own set of suites, and she also became his lover. Apparently, on a trip to Paris, she was so overtaken with Parisian society, and she didn't want to leave Paris. She sensed the potential in Paris to lift herself up to a point where she could become independent and wealthy using her own skills instead of, being employed by a John, so to speak. So she stayed, and she reinvented herself as Cora Pearl. And she was extremely successful. She was able to charge something like 10,000 francs a night for her company, which I guess translates as £1 million today. And she was able to acquire lovers like Prince Napoleon, who was a brother of Napoleon Bonaparte. She had lovers like Prince of Orange, Prince Rivoli. And she ended up acquiring many houses, palaces. She, I think in one house or one estate, installed a bathtub that you'd fill with champagne. Champagne actually came out of the spigots. I think that is still in existence, at least the beautiful bathtub. I don't know if you still can fill it with champagne. That part's not probably available, but she's still so famous for all those things that she did. And here in this article it says she rented a chateau near Orleans, installed a huge bronze bath engraved with her monogram. She liked to fill it with champagne and entertain her guests while bathing in it. C'est la vie. So she never married, I don't think she's had children in that lifetime. She didn't want to have to deal with that. She wanted to live the life. So la vida loca. And she was able to do that for quite some time, but at some point there was some political change in Paris, and whereas in the past it was highly decadent and there was tons of money, and you could be a high-class courtesan and considered society, that changed at that time. Paris became more conservative. And then another thing happened where she had a lover who was 10 years younger than she was, who was madly in love with her. And when his wealth dried up, she dumped him. And he was so outraged and so heartbroken, he came to her apartments with a gun. He was going to kill her, but instead, in the ensuing struggle, apparently he killed himself. The gun went off. And society at that time couldn't abide that kind of scandal. So she had to leave France. She probably went to England. When she came back, she couldn't replicate the kind of success she'd had in the past. So she became a low-end prostitute. She had written her memoirs just before she found out she had intestinal cancer. And she thought that was going to make her money, but that sold really poorly. And she was so poor that she couldn't afford a funeral. She didn't leave money behind for that. But a rich lover, an ex-lover, paid for her funeral. And she's still remembered to this day. There's, I think, in the Grosvenor Hotel, there's a room named after her. There are restaurants named after her. People are really fascinated about that time. Not just her, but in other courtesans of that time. So that's Cora Pearl's story. The cards that I'm reading from today, like I usually use these, probably not always, and once or twice I've used others, but I usually use the Ciro Marchetti Gilded Tarot. I had a contact from somebody who watches my show, and they ordered the cards, but they got the Royale deck, and they were really unhappy. It's not the Royale, it's the Gilded Tarot. I believe it came as the Easy Tarot. That's what it's called. It's like a larger package with a book. So just FYI, you can find it on Amazon if you want to order it. I do love these cards. My guides showed me these cards. They showed me the past life and these cards psychically. And when I do these readings, I just ask them, well, why did you pick these cards? So both Cora Bell and Melania Trump get the moon. My guides say this represents the demi-monde, the dark world, what's hidden. There's also the feminine mystique. This is the world, the card of sex. It's the card of mystery. It is the card of reinvention. If you think about it, both of these women did reinvent themselves into something new, a transformed persona. Cora Pearl, from a poor English girl's life as a lone prostitute, to this luxurious lifestyle and the celebrity. And I think she was one of the most famous of them all. And then Melania Trump, from her origins as, lower middle class Russian Slovenian girl, to struggling model, to Donald Trump's wife and the First Lady of the United States. Sorry, it was hard to get that out. God. Okay, but the moon for both of them as who they are. And also, this is kind of what's hidden about them. I think about Melania Trump and what's hidden about her, so much we don't know, so much that's been kind of covered up. So I think that's a really fitting card. Above is the Six of Pentacles. This is offering yourself to the highest bidder and being purely transactional. And I think we can say that both of them are in that ilk. In the recent past, and in the recent past, for a past life reading, it's kind of got a double meaning here. This is really the end, or what Cora Pearl was known for at the end of her life, and what she left, her legacy. And then this is also, what Melania Trump is best known for. And this is selling themselves. Upright, it's a businesswoman, and they have these gifts to offer. They're able to maintain their life independently with their skills. But this is really putting an emphasis on that resource being the body, the person. And in this instance, for Cora Pearl, it's her selling her body for sex and pleasure. And for Melania Trump, it would indicate, I assume, I didn't go further with this, but I assume, trophy wife. She's selling herself, and Donald Trump married her not because of her great intellect or her, accomplishments, but Melania as the glamorous woman, the model, her beauty, her yeah. Okay, so the motivation for both these women, Five of Pentacles. My guides say what this means for them is that their motivation is money, basically, material. Their lives were as such that this is what they aspired to. And in Melania's case, what the couple and their baby remind me of is that she used her money to bring her family out of Slovenia, sorry, to the United States, and she was able to secure them citizenship via, Donald's influence, I'm sure, and the only way she could do it was through money and influence. For the future, this is kind of the nature of how the past incarnation, left the planet, and this is the near future for the recent incarnation, the Tower. So my guides say that obviously this is the nature of Cora Pearl's death. She lost everything, her houses, her wealth, her beauty, all gone. And because of a violent incident too, if you think about it, the violent death of her lover, and she's ousted from society, and she dies in poverty. For Melania Trump, my guides say this is trouble in River City for her. I think this is regarding what's going on with Donald Trump's brand, with all the lawsuits, and her money is merged with his money, and her reputation is merged with his reputation. And there may be some involvement of her own in terms of some criminality or hiding of money that she took, in a fraudulent way. So this is coming up, and she's going to have to deal with this. It's going to upset and disturb her security. And this is also the Trump brand, right? Being hit, just like Trump Tower. So things are looking like they're going to fall away from Melania in a very significant way. We'll see what comes up with that. The clarifying card for both of them, this is the Seven of Swords, and my guides say that for both of these women, they try to get away with as much as they can in a serendipitous way. Whatever the situation is, they're going to try to profit from it. It is the card of the thief. They don't want to get caught. Everything's kind of like in a shady way behind the scenes. So, but it's transactional in its own way, even though it's not pentacles, it's swords. Just getting away with what you can. And oh yeah, I think the more significant meaning is it's a Machiavellian meaning or interpretation, which is the ends justify the means. You do whatever's necessary, whatever it takes to secure your wealth, your fortune, your status. The outcome card for both of them, Nine of Swords. So worst fears come true. Your nightmares become your reality. So that for sure was true for Cora Pearl. And it looks like something's keeping Melania up at night here. Something she's really, really worried about. So that's outcome for her. We'll see. Nothing, I like to say nothing that I say here is set in stone. You make your own opinion, your own evaluation. Curious to know what you thought of the intro, the vignette of those photographs compared to each other. And then the last two were portraits done. Are they similar? Do you think so? Okay, so we have an oracle card for us from Sacred Destiny, Denise Lynn. This card that my guides chose for us is Truth. The sacred landscape wants you to know, be honest with yourself, speak from your heart, find your truth, listen for what is sincere and honest in others. One of the most difficult things to know is what is true for you and what isn't. Sometimes it takes sincere silence to find your inner voice of truth, But once you find it, let go of anything in your life that isn't authentic. Share your truth with others. Release relationships in which you can't be yourself and can't be real. Being genuine can allow your spirit to fly and the song of your soul to be heard in the universe. Truth. I hope you enjoyed this reading. I am available for personal readings. I read anything from past lives, anything in the present, including past and present. I am a medium, and I love to introduce you to your guardian angels. You guys, please take care. I love you. Be well. I will be back next week. See ya. Bye.